Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Anthony. So, if you're new, if you're not new, my name is still Anthony. But welcome. We're happy to have you here. So today, I'm doing a really exciting Q&A story time doing of my engagement. I'm so excited to talk about this process with you guys. I'll also be talking about, like how we met and answering all your questions about my ring and, designing a ring and choosing who to work with and who I worked with myself. So, yeah, let's get into it. I did just shower. I'm in my t-shirts. This is the real me, guys. This is the real me. It's me in my t-shirt and my wet hair, okay? Before we do get into it, I am just gonna say I am getting this ring resized, like, relatively soon. I've been experiencing, like, hand eczema and stuff, and it hasn't been the moment. It hasn't been the moment. But these two products have been helping so much. The Pipette Eczema Lotion and the World of Oils Apricot Kernel Oil and Blue Tansy Oil. I like this brand because they use only the cold pressed oils. Highest quality, it's literally 2 ingredients, apricot kernel oil and blue tansy oil. So, love it. It smells delightful, darling. It's like just so nice. And Pipette, love them. I've been using their sunscreen 4 years. It's a baby brand. It's not expensive and it's high quality and it works and it's great for sensitive skin like mine. And just wanted to shout it out for any of my girls or guys who are struggling with eczema. I feel like I've never struggled with eczema in my life before until I moved to where I live now, and it's not chic, it's not the moment. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the first question. How did you both meet? So we met 2 years ago, almost exactly, a little bit more at this point, but we met in August of 2024, which is so crazy. I was still in college, guys. I was still in college. I was 21, and we met when I was on a little trip in southern Rhode Island. That's where I'm originally from, but I was staying in southern Rhode Island compared to where I usually live. And he was visiting his mom there, and we just met on the beach, and he was like, oh, like, would you like to go out? And I was like, oh, like, yeah, like, sure. Why not? So we went on a cheeky, flirty little date to the movies, Inside Out 2. So fun. It was the moment. We didn't really get to talk that much, though. So he was like, oh, like, we should see each other again tomorrow. So we did just that. I ended up making dinner for his family, which was so nice. I love to cook, and it's like my love language. We were supposed to do it together, but God knows, I just take over. I just take over in the kitchen. So it was really fun. I made salmon and veggies. And then next thing I knew, I was leaving for Italy, and he was moving to New Hampshire to start his new job. And I was like, as soon as we left our second day, I was like, that's the one. It was like, too bad I would never live in New Hampshire, and, it just wouldn't work out. Like, that was my thought. I was like, oh, like, it would just never work out. Anyway, studied abroad in Italy, came home, and we talked throughout me being in Italy and him starting his new life here. And when I came back, he was like, I'd love to see you. And next thing I knew, I'm home and we're inseparable. And then we're moving in together, and it's like, and then here we are. Very,
Fluency Gap Guide and Inside.
Oh my God. That was so scary. I was listening to a French podcast earlier, so that just started playing. But anyway, if you're trying to learn French, actually, French Made Easy. That's the podcast. Love French Made Easy. It's been so helpful with my French, and I think she's just a brilliant creator. Anyway, so how do I find a relationship as beautiful as yours? And how do I know if I'm with the right person? two great questions, and I'll start with the first one. How do I have a relationship as beautiful as yours? First of all, thank you. That is so kind, and it really is so humbling to me that you see that in my relationship, because there really is so much beauty everywhere. But anyway, how do you find a relationship that you feel to be beautiful and that you feel to be in alignment with who you are and where you're going? The first thing that I have to say about this is be so clear about what you want. Before we were dating, I did this for a while, honestly. I would write down my dream person and my dream life and how they fit into that life, every quality, how they made me feel, everything. I would spare no detail. And like I said, it wasn't just them, but it was like, how did they fit into my life? And once I did that, and once I was super clear on what it is that I wanted, to the point where there was no questions genuinely about what it is that I wanted, I started to see those things in myself. And I feel like that's kind of silly, but I think a lot of the time we forget that we are a whole as a person. You know, like you are whole. You are a whole self-containing world. You have so much to offer, and just you don't need to outsource anything. And I'll go a little bit into an example of this. In a prior relationship of mine, and really, you know, I realized through self-reflection, through a lot of relationships, I never really saw myself as a strong person. And I obviously, this is when I was a kid, and I know that I'm like very strong now, but when I was a kid, I just never saw myself as physically strong. So I had a ton of friends, and I would always admire them because I always felt like they were so strong. And this was, of course, something I would look for in a partner. And when I lost that, I had to almost rebuild that self-concept of like, I don't need to outsource strength. You know, just because I'm not going to go and like deadlift like 500 pounds doesn't mean that I don't have a strong character, that I don't have strong morals, that my humor isn't strong, my skills aren't strong. Like, I had to redefine what strength was to me. And see that, wait, like I'm actually like the strongest person that I know. That's just one example though. Just be clear, leave nothing to question, and be everything for yourself. And don't be looking to outsource things. And I'd say, in addition to that, never look for wholeness from another person. Just, you know, to continue from what I said, there's no person in the world that will ever make you whole. That's never a feeling that you can get from someone. And if that's something that you are feeling like you do not feel that you are whole, it's something that your partner will reflect back to you. And that's just a nasty reflection. No one wants to deal with that. So anyway, on to the next. How do I know if I'm with the right person? I never answered that. You know that you are with the right person when you feel whole on your own, but they amplify who you are to such an extent, almost like a crystal, or like with money. It's like they push you to be more of your true self. They don't hinder you. They don't, what's the word that I'm looking for? Maybe it's not something that I'm not looking for, but it's more that they encourage you to be your true, authentic self in every moment. They are proud of who you are, and they love you for even the things that you don't love you for, or the things that maybe you are struggling to love you for. They see your beauty in every moment. And I think this is always something that people notice when you are with someone, that you are more of you when you are with them. Or even when you're alone, they push you to be that person that maybe you don't even know yourself to fully be. They kind of see who you are before you can even see who you are. And I think those are some indicators of a really strong partnership. And I guess the biggest feeling is expansion. Expansion of self, expansion of life, expansion of everything. There are no limits, and I'd say the quickest way to know that you're with the wrong person is when you feel limited and they, you know, there's nothing that limiting from a really high frequency partnership. And to add to that, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, obviously, like, all those things are great, but even with a high soul match person, like, there are going to be issues. It doesn't matter how expansive they are in your life. You grow through challenge, and you grow through obstacle. And a really high soul match is going to be a person that throws those obstacles back at you, and throws the holes in your creator field. And it's the person that's going to always ask you to be greater and be the highest version of yourself, usually through a challenge. So just going to put that out there. Those are just some little ideas, and I hope that is helpful for you. How does it feel being engaged to an older man, and dream ring? Thank you. What is it like being in an age gap relationship? Okay, I did get a few questions about this, so I'm just gonna talk about it, because I don't ever look at my partner and think, like, you're an old man. And I don't think he looks at me and thinks, like, oh, like, you're a child. I feel like it's just like dating someone your age, I would say, except you go through things at different times. And I'd say that is, an obvious challenge. Like, I'm in my 20s, and I would say I'm pretty, I don't even want to say, like, I have it figured out, because, like, who the F actually has it figured out in their 20s? But I like to think that I have a good idea of what I like and what I don't like. And, I'm sure that's always changing. But I think that's probably the biggest difference with the age gap is he knows what he wants. And it's not that I don't know what I want. It's just I'm exploring, and he is less exploring, I guess. But even with that, we're both growing. We may be at different stages of our growth, but we are still both growing, and we are growing together. And through every growth, he is such a rock for me. And, through every growth for him and every change for him, I am flexible as I can be, and do everything in my power to make sure that we are okay and that our relationship is a priority for both of us. And, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how old or young someone is. If you love each other and you are both committed fully to making your relationship work, it's really it at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're a month apart or 11 years or whatever it is. But yeah, I hope that is helpful to you. I will say, actually, one thing that is really important, I think, being with someone that's older or younger, is just openness to different perspectives. There is a generational gap. There's even a cultural gap. Like, I'm American and he's Canadian, and you know, not that that's huge, but it is something where it's like, okay, like we definitely do have different perspectives sometimes. And I think the most important thing in any relationship, but especially when there's an age gap, is just being open to new perspectives and learning. Learn each other more every day. And I think that's a tool that you can use in any relationship. How did you know you're ready to be engaged, and how did you set engagement expectations? Great questions. I am a Cancer. For any of you that know Cancers, like, we are ride or die loyal, and I love to be in a relationship. I've always wanted to be married. I've never pictured my life not married. I love the idea of marriage. I love it in action as well. I love the highs. I love the lows. I just love commitment. I love those things. So to me, it was never not a thing. And I think something with me, maybe that's different than some people my age, is I just feel, I don't know, I feel like I grew up really fast. And when I was in my teens, I felt like I was in my 20s. And now being in my 20s, I think sometimes I feel like I'm maybe, you know, not in my 20s. And I don't want to say quite in my 30s, but just a little bit more mature. And I didn't feel like I had the desire to date around, or, you know, that just wasn't for me. And I did date a lot when I was younger, and I just kind of knew, like, I don't know, I just met him and I knew. I was like I told you guys earlier, I was like, oh my, like, he is literally my dream man. That's my dream man. Like, he's right there. He's right in the kitchen. Like, what? So it wasn't, I don't know. I think if anything, like, I was more ready than he was. He never saw himself getting married, actually, until we met. And I think that also just goes to show, when you know, and when you're with the right person, they could really expand your view on what you see possible for your life. So, cheers to that, honey. I'm also drinking some throat coat. I like had a brain fart for a minute. I was like, what am I drinking? Throat coat tea. I'm not sick or anything. I love throat coat. I think it's like such a beautiful magnetic herbal little tea. So good. And this says, talking to plants is one way of talking directly to spirit. You know, I was just talking to my tomatoes, actually, and I just love them. They're so beautiful. My German stripe just started to blossom, and I'm like, oh my god, you're gorgeous, and you're huge and bodacious and perfect. Okay? Anyway, the proposal story. Yes, I've been waiting for this one. Were you surprised? So, proposal story. I was shocked. I did not expect it to happen at all. A little thing about me, I hate surprises, but it was so magical because I was surprised. And I'm really happy that I was. And I was thinking, you know, like, if I wasn't surprised, I just would have been focused on the wrong things, I think. You know, things like, oh, like, does my skin look okay? My hair? Is my outfit okay? Are the pictures? Like, you know, like, I just would have been not present. I wouldn't have been in the moment. And at the end of the day, what more do we have than this moment? Right? Than this moment. And because I was so surprised, the moment was the moment, and there was no other moment. It was just him and I was, like, shaking like a leaf, because I was like, oh my god, like, what is going on? I was like, what is even going on? And I thought I was literally hallucinating, because I got, like, 2 hours of sleep the night before, and I was like, oh my god, like, is that my ring? I was like, oh yeah, that's my ring, that's my ring. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go into it. So, we were on Ocean Drive in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm not from Newport, but I'm from Rhode Island, and we met in Newport. So it was almost exactly 2 years from when we first met, and I had no idea that that's when he was planning. But his whole family was visiting. It was my future mother-in-law's birthday, and they all came, and I thought that they were just, there for her birthday, and we were all getting dressed up because of that. So it was honestly kind of like a perfect plan. I was unsuspecting. I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna look cute anyway, and it's like, it's the vibe. It is the vibe. But anyway, so we all make our way, and, we're like, oh, like, let's go on a drive. Let's go to Ocean Drive. And we're like, yeah, like, let's go to Ocean Drive. It's going to be gorgeous. And it was beautiful. Ocean Drive is, like, where the ocean is and where the mansions are. And it's just so scenic and stunning. So anyway, we get out of the car, and everyone's, like, talking to him. And they're like, oh, my God, like, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? I didn't know any of this, but I heard after. And he's like, watch, he's going to do exactly. Like, he's going to cross the street, he's going to take a bunch of pictures, and he's going to, like, whatever. And that's exactly what I did. Isn't it just funny, like, when people know you, and they just, like, know what you're going to do? And that's exactly what I did. I was crossing the street, I was getting the pictures, I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty here! It's like, no matter how many times you go to Ocean Drive, it's, like, just stunning every time. So that's that. And then, his sister was like, oh, like, I want to get pictures of you guys. And I was like, why? I was like, stop. It's her birthday. Get pictures of her. Get pictures of her. Don't take pictures of me. And I was also like, I forgot all my skincare at home. I didn't do anything. I was like, thank God I was having a great hair day, though. If I wasn't having a great hair day, though, I don't even know what I would have done. But anyway, so she's, like, being super persistent. I was like, fine, like, don't have to ask me again. Like, I will get in front of that camera lens, okay? So I did. And we did. And everyone was, like, taking photos. And I was like, oh, my God, like, paparazzi is out to play today. Then, I'm taking his hand and just, like, strolling along the little beach. And next thing I know, I whip my head around, and there's this big fat ring in my face. And I was like, oh, my God, like, what? And I was like, I literally thought it was a dream. I was like, this cannot be real. I was like, what? But anyway, he just goes on this little speech, and he was like, I've never wanted to marry anyone else before. And, he was like, I love you, and I want to be able to live with you. And he was like, you're so magnetic and beautiful and everything, the whole world. And I was like, I will marry you. I will. And that was that. And it was beautiful. It was the moment. I was shaking, like, literally crazy. I'm not a crier. I don't really cry that often. It's just not who I am. But I was like, oh my God, like, what? Like, I was like a leaf in the wind, shaken. But anyway, that is it's probably Sparks Notes-ish version. Maybe some unimportant details were added, but that's okay. That is our proposal story. Why didn't you just marry me instead? Great question. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you ask? That's what I want to know. Anyway, love you, Kiana, though. You're a baddie. And if you asked, I might have said yes. So, guess just shoot your shot next time. Let's see. Oh, wait. Did I ever answer setting engagement expectations? I never answered that question. I'm just looking at my questions now. Let me think here. I think the most important thing here is to just make sure that you guys really see a life together and that you are committed to getting through anything together. I knew that we were going to get married. I knew, like, I'm very 100% fully committed, and I know that he's the same way to me, and that was a strong expectation. We see a similar and shared vision for our future, and I think, like I said, I knew that we were going to get engaged. Like, we talked about it, and it was a goal for us, and it was a priority for us, and just going through that process together, I would say. So, I guess, like, how to bring it up with your partner, it's just, I guess when I brought it up, the biggest thing that was for me was, if we are not growing as a couple, then we are literally dying and decaying. And I guess that's kind of how I set the stage of expectations in our future together. I was like, if we are not growing and continuing our life together, there is no future here. And obviously, growth isn't just actions, it is emotional, but it is the actions too. And that was a priority for me, and in turn became a priority for him, because he was like, like, you are the one. And that was kind of the biggest thing for us. But I think with every couple, it's going to be a little bit different. Like, I think there are some people that maybe don't even know that they're getting engaged. So, yeah. But like I said, I don't do well with surprises. So, anyway. Okay, I got so many questions about my ring and who I worked with and all these things. So, OMG, who designed your ring? I love your ring. How did you decide who to work with? Can you talk about the process of designing your ring? So, yes, I absolutely can. So, where do I start? So I'll start with, who I worked with, how I decided who to work with. I decided to go with a private jeweler in Boston. Her name is Callista West. Shout out to you, boo. I love you. She is the best. She is amazing. I love her just on a personal level. She is a great person. And how did I decide who to work with? I interviewed a few people, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Boston, Canada. I tried to be very knowledgeable and also know my highest values. I kind of had a really good idea of what I wanted, and I knew that I was going to be working with a semi-precious, well, not semi-precious, a precious gemstone, as well as a diamond. And some gemstones can be a little bit more fragile, so I knew that I wanted someone that was super experienced. And I think the biggest thing is I wanted someone that truly had my best interest at heart when designing this piece of jewelry. And I wanted them to take my vision and, what I desired to have and put their own creation into it. And I think the biggest thing that set Callista apart from any other jeweler that I interviewed and, why I ultimately decided to go with her is it didn't feel like she, well, not so much it didn't, but what was 100% clear is she wanted me to have exactly what I wanted. She wasn't trying to push anything that I was like, like, I'm not sure about that. Like, she had a great understanding of what I wanted and how to bring that to life. She was very confident, especially working with, gemstones such as emeralds. And I think that was the biggest thing. I trusted her with my rings and the process. And I talked to some other people that they didn't fully understand what I was looking for. And, I didn't do a traditional type of ring. It's actually, I'll talk about the ring a little bit. It is actually 2 separate rings that connect at the back like a puzzle via this little notch. And the reason why I wanted it to be like this is obviously it's beautiful, but it symbolizes 2 people that are whole on their own, coming together to make something even more magnetic and beautiful, and they amplify each other so much. So that was kind of why I chose this, and it's very special. Emerald is my fiance's birthstone, and not only that, but I really wanted someone who had experience working with vintage diamonds, and that's what this is. I ended up choosing, can you guys see it? Maybe. An old mine diamond, which is the most sustainable diamond. I will throw it out there. I know everyone's like, blood diamond! And I'm like, you gotta do your research, okay? Because the most sustainable diamonds, there aren't the lab ones, They're not the new mined ones. They are the repurposed ones. The ones that have already been set. The ones that have already been cut. Okay, guys? Like, because you're giving it new life. You're not, having any new carbon emissions from resetting a diamond that was, someone else's in like the 1800s. But these diamonds are also very different than modern diamonds in the way that they're cut. So they were cut in the 18 and 1900s. So they were cut by hand and candlelight. So they have chunkier facets, and the way that they reflect light is slightly different than a modern diamond, which is more like a crushed ice type of look. But to me, it was very romantic, especially pairing it with an emerald. It just felt like, I don't know, it needed to be more romantic and a little bit more subtle. And obviously the sustainability part was huge to me. But yeah, deciding who to work with, interview. You want someone that's experienced. You don't want someone that's going to be pushing you in a way that does not feel authentic to who you are. Like, I had a very strong foundation going to Calista. I was like, these are my ideas. And she had the knowledge to build the building. And, she was like, this is my professional opinion, but not in a way to sway me. Just, she's experienced, and she was very knowledgeable and very helpful in making those final decisions and all those things. So yeah, I'd say that is how I would choose who to work with, and why I chose her. I trust her, and she had my best interest at heart, and that is the most important thing with really any relationship. So, especially when you're investing in a piece so much. Natural or lab? I did talk about this a little bit, but both my stones are natural. And I know that there's a lot of controversy about this, but ultimately for me, I chose, natural. And that was my choice, to each their own, of course. I think in choosing a lab or a natural, you just have to know what really is your highest value. For me, it was having something, like putting my money into something that I knew was going to hold value, and having something that was timeless and that was going to last and feel very me. Like, I just know that if I had a lab diamond on my hand, as someone who can see energy, it wouldn't feel the same. And I've always dreamed about my ring, and while lab diamonds are beautiful, they look the same as natural diamonds, it just wasn't where I felt my our money and our energy should be placed. And no shade to lab diamonds, but I think a lot of people choose them thinking like they're so much more sustainable, and at the end of the day, that's really not the truth. To create a lab diamond, it is so energy taxing. So again, there's lots of beautiful natural diamonds that have been set that are ready to be reused and repurposed, and that just felt the most authentic to me. And furthermore, why I chose a natural emerald as well. Emeralds were actually really loved by Cleopatra, and aside from them being Charlie's birthstone, they are the most heart-centered stone. They connect very deeply with the heart chakra. Diamonds amplify who you inherently are, kind of like money in a way. It's like when you have money, it amplifies the things that you already like, and your inherent qualities. And like, if you're a kind, loving person, having money will make you more of that. And if you're a mean person and greedy, having more money will make you more of that. Diamonds kind of work in that way. They amplify your innate energy. Emeralds amplify your heart chakra. They amplify love, and having them paired together just feels really special for that exact reason. They amplify each other, and they amplify me, and they amplify our relationship, and they amplify our love. So kind of silly, kind of different, but that's the moment. And again, to each their own. Do what you want. Do what feels innate to you. And the biggest thing that, when Calista and I did talk about this, because we did have this conversation, even though I did have a good idea of what I wanted, she said the biggest thing at the end of the day is lab diamonds are not going to hold value at the end of the day. You buy it, you pay whatever, like 5 to 10K for this lab diamond. If you ever want to get a new diamond or sell it, it's worth zero, honey. It's worth zero. Also, I'm going to talk about working with her again versus, I know there's like all these online sites like Ring Concierge and Brilliant Earth, and the biggest thing with those and why it's so powerful to work with a private jeweler is they're commoditized, just like lab diamonds are. They're commoditized. They aren't custom. These rings are made for the stones. They're not going anywhere because they're made, and they're very strong. They're very sturdy. There is a high level of craftsmanship here. With those other sites, it's like you have this like micro band with this like 8-carat lab diamond, and like this micro band, like it can't hold that huge diamond. It's gonna bend. It's gonna, it's gonna bend. It's gonna break. It has these tiny little prongs for this huge diamond, and it's like it's just not the move. If like, yeah, maybe the cheaper option at first, but down the line when you lose that diamond or you have to get a new ring because it broke or whatever happened to it, it's just not the moment. So that is just my opinion, though. Like, obviously you do you. There's nothing wrong with shopping there, and I don't mean to make it seem like that, because there's not, and that is the truth. And they do have some beautiful styles as well. Let's see. Advice for newly engaged couples. Let's see. I say just enjoy it. I think the most beautiful part about being engaged is, for me at least, it really brings back that honeymoon phase. And I don't know, it's like you kind of just fall in love all over again. And I think that's really beautiful to enjoy. Like the few days after we were engaged, my fiance, he said to me, he was like, I didn't even think I could, but I somehow love you even more now that we're engaged. And I was like, that's so cute. 'Cause same, like me too. It's the most magical feeling, and I would say just enjoy it. Don't rush into it. I'd say just be present at every stage in your relationship, and I'd say don't do it just to do it. You have your whole life, and if it's not right, that's okay too. But newly engaged couples, enjoy it. I'd say always. My fiance and I, like, we designed my ring together, and I think I know everyone does a little bit differently, but I'm really happy that we did. The reason why we decided to do it that way is because he was like, I just want you to have exactly what you want. And, me thinking like, that's so beautiful. And two, like, I'm not marrying you because you're a jewelry designer. And I'm really happy that we decided to do it that way. Just be super open, be super transparent. I mean, I think going through this process, there's going to be hard things to talk about at times when it's like deciding how you're going to do it, maybe even timelines and just having different ideas of that, and maybe even talking budgets for a ring. I mean, I think those are all difficult conversations to navigate, but I think my biggest advice there would just be find common ground and remember that, like, those aren't the make or break things. And, obviously, like, even with a wedding and, like, wedding planning, it's not the big wedding that's the make or break thing. It's the moments and the memories. It's, like, if you truly love this person, you'd be okay. Like, it's just you guys in, like, a courthouse. And, I think that's really the moment. Not to say that the other things are not important, because they are, and this is our one life, and, you know, it's why shouldn't we enjoy it to the fullest, but it's just, I guess, stripped down if you didn't have any of the outside extra things and no one ever saw, and it was just you guys, and would you be happy with that? And yeah, I hope that answered the question, but I want to thank you guys so much for listening. This was a long video, but it's deeply personal, and there's a lot of gold nuggets here, and maybe listen to it again. But I appreciate you being here, being a part of my community, more than you even know. We're growing, we're becoming more bodacious, more beautiful every single day, and yeah, like, follow, comment, all the things. I'll be posting lots more, and I'm so excited and grateful that I get to share this beautiful life with you guys. So, bye.